Hello, welcome back to the Leicester City Women's Wrap-Up Show. Obviously, this is a show that had to be done. We had to go live. We got some transfers. James and I actually just finished recording an interview, so I'm not going to say too much about that one yet, but I'm really excited for that one to come out and for you guys to see that one. That'll be on Sunday. That will be released right before the Reading match. But putting that aside, we've got Chris joining us, and Chris is the Aston Villa expert, in my opinion. He's also the Academy League expert. So, Chris, thank you so much for coming on the show, especially such short notice. Thank you.
It's my pleasure, Hannah. I'm happy to be here.
So, Chris writes with me over at Her Football Hub, and this is the first time we've ever actually spoken to each other, and we were saying that before. So, it's a funny situation to kind of actually speak to each other, but we're here, and Chris is here to give us some information, so it's going to be a good one. So obviously we've announced this morning that we have signed Freya, Gregory, and Missy Goodwin on loan from Aston Villa. Chris, do you want to just kind of give us a bit of a background on both of these players, because they're quite young?
Okay, so let's start with Freya Gregory. She was a player that came through the RTC and then the academy at Birmingham City, and she actually made her debut for Birmingham in November 2019. It was a time when Marta Tejedor was the manager there, and Birmingham had a really small squad, and then they suffered a number of injuries at once, and they had to play Brighton, and in the end they called up a number of academy players, and Freya was one of those. And Freya actually, was thrown in at the deep end and played in front of over 4,000 people at the Amex Stadium for her debut. She then played, I think, just a small part for the rest of the period whilst the players at Birmingham were injured, throughout December into January. And then by the time that the season was curtailed in February, that was it. And come April, she then was one of several players that went to join Aston Villa Academy. When the Academy had their season last season, it was all behind closed doors because of the pandemic. But Freya was part of the squad, and it was a very, very successful team that last season they structured it so that they had 15, there were 12 teams last season. They've expanded it this season. But last season, all teams were in the same league. This season, they've been split north and south. So with all the teams in the same league, Aston Villa Academy actually came top of their league with a 100% track record. And Freya and Missy were both part of that team. Freya then got offered a professional contract with Aston Villa when Gemma Davis and Marcus Bignot were running the club, and she actually made her debut, I think, against Tottenham just a few weeks before getting her professional contract, and she had a very successful part to play in Villa managing to avoid the drop last season. She famously scored the goal against Birmingham City in the 1-1 draw, but she's also played, her part in other games which helped Villa stay up. She's predominantly a left-footed winger, and this season, when Carla Ward's come in, she's played Freya in some games, notably in the victories against Birmingham and Brighton. Freya was playing those games, and she did very well, though she's not been a regular this season. So I think part of the loan deal is that Freya will get more minutes at Leicester, and that's part of the thinking why Carla's keen for her to go to a team where she'd maybe play a bigger part.
Absolutely. And it's definitely kind of interesting seeing us bring in these youth players, because we know Lydia Bedford has had such an involvement with the England youth squads. So you can see her bringing in these players. And I know that at Leicester, one of the philosophies they've had is, helping develop young players. So we can obviously see that continuing to happen with these two signings coming in. And I think from what you've told me in chats and stuff, is that these are two good signings for us. These are two players that have a lot of potential. So I think it's going to be really exciting to see.
Absolutely, Hannah. Very big futures ahead of them, but both players, and really sorry to see both of them leave Villa, albeit one of them's only on loan. I think you're right that Lydia Bedford has had a major part in kind of persuading these players to come across. She's known them through, I think, several years. That they're both 18, very close to being 19, I believe. And they've come up through the England youth group, so under 17, possibly even under 15s, but certainly under 17s, under 19s. And Lydia has had a big involvement in their footballing career away from the club, and she's got to know them both, and as well as lots of other players. But I think the fact that she's brought these two in first just goes to show that Lydia knows, like with many managers, that they know the players that they know the best from the ones that they've actually managed and coached before. So I think that's why she was so keen to bring them in.
Absolutely. And we're going to hop over to Missy, because I know Missy has really made a name for herself in the Academy League. So if you want to tell us a bit about that, I'll let you tell us, because you know the good stuff. So I'll let you drop the news.
Okay, well, not everyone may know, but her real name is Diana. When she was on the team sheet for Aston Villa, because she has made a professional debut for Villa, it was down as D Goodwin rather than M Goodwin, but everyone knows her as Missy. She prefers to be called Missy, and I'm sure Leicester fans will take a shine to her. She, like Freya, was originally at Birmingham City, doing really well, and she came across in April 2020 and played in the academy team all of last season. That did really well, won their league. But the thing about Missy is that she has got the ability to play in kind of multiple positions up front. So depending on who else is playing at the time, she could either drop in as number 10, or she could play on the wing, or even as number 9. But wherever she is up front, she manages to find the goal. Now, I haven't had a chance to look up these stats, because it only kind of came out today, and I only knew I was going to be on this show literally very short notice. But I'm sure last season, the thing is about the academy is that they play a number of league games, but they also play a number of friendlies. So that's in order to better their careers. So they'll play league games against all the other teams in their league, but they'll also play friendlies against tier 2 teams, tier 3 teams, and boys teams. And it's all to just help develop their career alongside their university course or college course that they're doing. And that's the whole idea of the academy setup, with a view to trying to get them into the WSL. But it may not be that they go to a WSL team. They may end up going to another team. So the thing that with Missy is that she was part of that team that was doing really well last season. But when she went up to sorry, I've just lost my thread. So just bear with me.
You're good.
Okay, sorry, I just had a couple of people come in the room in the background, so
that's okay.
Forgive me. Just completely threw off my thread there. So sorry, what were we talking about earlier with Missy?
You're talking about like the whole academy setup and how they play games against different sides, whether it's like boys sides or other. Yeah.
Thank you. So I know where I was heading towards. So I don't know whether these stats are correct in terms of whether it was the league only, or whether it includes the friendlies. But I'm pretty sure that Missy Goodwin was within the academy structure, one of the league's top scorers across all teams. She was regularly scoring 1 goal, 2 goals, even 3 goals a game after game. This season, she's continued on in the academy, and she's had the chance now to she played against Sheffield United in the Conti Cup, and she came on as a substitute and did really well. She's been an unused substitute a couple of other times as well for Villa. So I think she's got a fantastic career ahead of her, and wherever she went, whether it be Leicester or another club, I think she's one that's, given her age now, that she needs to play regularly.
Right. And I understand with Missy's situation, she's signed on a pro contract with Leicester. So for you personally, what do you think that means for her taking her career forward?
I think that she's got a massive career ahead of her. She's already, scoring the goals at academy level. I don't think it'd be very long before, if she can get regular game time at Leicester, I'm sure, given the confidence, and if she's got the supply from the midfield, that she'll find the back of the net for the Foxes. And I'm sure she'll, that Lydia Bedford obviously will be keeper under 19s, but obviously she's very she's if she can keep playing the way she does, where she has the confidence to go past players, find space for herself, link up with others, you wouldn't believe that how young she is, but she's certainly got a big career ahead of her.
I'm excited about these signings because you kind of given us a bit of more of a background for anyone that's not familiar with them, and it just sounds as if they have so much potential. So it's going to be really interesting to see how they kind of fit in with Leicester's squad and to see where things go, and hopefully it's good for them and it's good for us. I'm sure as a Villa fan, you aren't too happy if they end up showing up against you guys, but
well, to be honest, Hannah, I would have loved Freya to stay and get more minutes, because she's done really well for us ever since February, so almost a year now. And with Missy, I've seen her play 4 times for the academy, and I've seen her just the once for the first team, but all of those games, I thought, yeah, Villa have got a really good player. So definitely sorry to see her go, but I'm sure she's got a fantastic career ahead of her. And I think, that if Leicester stay up and Missy helps them, then who knows what lies ahead in the summer. Obviously, we don't know the situation with Lydia Bedford, but let's, from Leicester's point of view, take it one step at a time.
Exactly. Yeah, it's so hard to predict what could happen in the future, because I keep saying to people with this league, it's so unpredictable how everyone's doing. I don't think anyone saw it coming. So whether players stay or they go, I know with Missy's situation, signing that pro contract, there's questions raised of, could she end up transferring to Leicester on a permanent, or is she going to return to Villa? So it's all going to be a surprise, I think.
Yeah, I think it depends, a lot on if Leicester survive relegation. So at this point in time, we can't speculate too much.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Chris, for joining us, especially on such short notice. You gave so much insight and so much information. Thank you so much. Is there anything you're wanting to throw out there before I go into Leicester transfer stuff on my own? I won't bore you with all that.
Just to say to the Leicester fans that you're getting a couple of great players here that they will take to them very quickly. As the unknown situation is, how much play are they going to get to begin with? Because obviously you've got a large squad, so there is a bit of an unknown as to whether they're going to be sitting on the subs bench waiting to get their chance, or whether they're going to get involved right from the off. But whichever way it goes, I really think that the fans will love them both.
Absolutely. Well, thank you again, and I hope you have a great evening, and hopefully we get to see them get a lot of minutes with us. It's kind of hard to tell, but like we keep saying, but we'll see. And then I'm sure you and I are going to talk about it a lot, and I'm sure we'll probably have you on later on in the season as well if you're feeling up to it, just kind of talk about their progression with us. But really appreciate you coming on. Thank you so much. Have a great rest of your evening. So I'm going to hop into some Leicester transfer stuff in a second and just kind of figure out some technical stuff, and then thank you again, Chris.
Thank you, Hannah. Cheers.
Have a good evening. Okay, so Leicester transfer news. So basically, what's going on? I see Ant is in here. Hi, Ant. Thank you for joining us. It's really great having you. As always, I tend to bombard Beyond the 90 when they're doing the men's shows, so it's nice to see that Ant is also here bombarding us. So just kind of going into things, I know that we've announced 2 signings now. We have Freya, Gregory, and Missy Goodwin, as Chris helped us kind of give more information about. And we are still kind of looking around. Obviously, with Lydia Bedford, we keep saying that she's really looking at these youth players with the whole development philosophy that has established at Leicester. And so I know that we're still looking at more young players. Obviously, we were looking at taking Georgia Fox on loan from Chelsea. Obviously, that has fallen through. That's due to Fox wanting to stay within the Chelsea area. So that one was one I really wanted to see happen. So there you go. Yeah, that's one comment here. So signing I really want to see happen. I would have loved to see Georgia Fox joining us. So much potential with her, and so much potential with Chelsea as well. She's done great. She's shown up in Chelsea games. It's been really good. And that's one I was hoping to see, but obviously she's off to Charlton Athletic, which I understand the whole London situation, being on loan from Chelsea, wanting to stay closer to the area. And then the goalkeeper situation with Carly Telford and Karen Bardsley is so unlikely to happen. Either of those signings I don't see happening at this point. I know Emma Sanders said the same thing. Both goalkeepers that are kind of establishing themselves in different ways. I know with Telford's situation, it differs a bit from Bardsley's, but just not very likely. I understand that Bedford is looking for an experienced goalkeeper still, and is kind of looking in that 35 age range. I'm not sure who she could be looking at. Obviously, the experience is wanting to come in with Lavelle being out due to injury. With Isabel Sibley, I'm not sure 100% on things. I know a lot of WSL sides are looking at her. She's one that I haven't heard a ton of news about lately, but she has so much potential. Yeah, there we go. Here's Joe. Hello, Joe. Yeah, she has so much potential. Looking at her statistics in the States, she had a great season over in the US, great few seasons actually, providing so many assists and scoring so many goals. I think it would be a great signing for us. Obviously, it's a bit hard to tell with so many WSL sides showing interest in her, but I understand that we're one side that is pushing. I know that we are kind of sniffing around Arsenal a bit at some of their youth players. I won't say much there. So waiting on confirmation on one of them. But yeah, there's some players that we are looking at Arsenal. And but as Emma said, we are kind of looking around mostly at competing with Birmingham and Aston Villa when it comes to, and Reading, when it comes to beating each other in the transfer window. So it's obviously going to be a lot of youth signings, as we're seeing, besides that whole experienced goalkeeper, which I don't know much about where we're going to go with that situation. Obviously, we're going to be seeing a few players going out on loan. My guess is it's going to be quite a few youth players, just judging by what's kind of being brought in as well. So it's going to be interesting to see. There's still a lot of talk around everything, but from what I'm seeing right now, it's like Leicester's linked to everyone and anyone. Anytime someone sends me a message being like, oh, you guys are looking at this person, it's like I feel like I'm getting those messages like once every 5 minutes because we're looking at everyone. But yeah, it's going to be a lot of youth players coming in, a lot of loans, obviously. I feel like January is the loan window. So the summer is when we're going to see a lot more action, I think, when it comes to permanence. But as I was discussing with Chris, we could end up seeing Missy ending up with us on a permanent, depending on our position at the end of the season, whether we stay top of the table, whether we stay out of that relegation spot or wherever that may be. I think that's what really depends on whether or not she would sign on a permanent with us. Of course, there's a question of, is Lydia going to stay at the end of the season as well? Because her contract is also not necessarily that permanent. So Tom has a good point here. The investment that Leicester has put into the women's facilities is proving to be a trump card in some of these dealings. Absolutely. I know that Beaver Drive is incredibly appealing and the King Power is incredibly appealing to a number of players. I know players have went to visit Beaver Drive in the past. Over the summer, that happened a lot. And obviously, it's a really appealing facility. And there's not many clubs in the WSL that are at that same level as we are. So it's definitely really appealing in that sense. The facilities, the engagement. Just speaking with some of the players, obviously they have a huge community going on over there, and we're seeing like the stuff that Lydia is bringing in with all of her little like weekday events that she does and their little get-togethers that they've been doing. So it's going to be interesting to see how the season plays out. Obviously, when it comes to signings, it's a bit hard to predict where the table is going to end up and which players will come and go. Obviously, the transfer window is obviously a busy time of year. I'm going to try to keep up as much as possible with stuff. I know I've been lazy on Twitter. I apologize for that. But yeah, hopefully in the next few days, I feel like with Leicester over the summer, we saw one transfer being announced and then they just kept coming like every single day. So I think this could be another situation where we're just going to be seeing so many coming in all at once. But yeah, so hopefully we see stuff. If we don't, I'm going to try to keep everything posted as much as I can. Obviously, we have Reading coming up on Sunday. Another thing I want to touch on is the COVID situation at the club. I understand that players are not being named due to medical confidentiality type stuff, but there's COVID at the club. I'm sure if you look at some training photos, you might be able to put two and two together. I don't know about who may be absent on Sunday. I don't want to be dropping names, but I'll just say it's going to be interesting to see what we put out on Sunday. But I'm looking forward to Reading. I'm sure you guys are as well. Thank you, everyone who's tuned in to watch. Chris was awesome. He gave so much insight. Here's Chris. Chris knows that he gave some great insight. So thank you so much, Chris, for giving us a bit of a background on our two new signings. And everyone joining, this was super like impromptu. I did not plan on doing this. So we had an interview this morning that I'm really excited to share with you guys. That'll be out on Sunday, right before the Reading game. Just coordinating with Watford tomorrow. So thank you again to everyone for tuning in, and we have more content coming out in the next coming weeks. Hopefully we'll see you after the Reading game. Thanks, Chris. But yeah, so if there's any like final questions or comments anyone wants to throw in, any predictions for Sunday? I know I don't do predictions, but if anyone has any predictions on Sunday, they can definitely drop those in the chat, and hopefully we'll see some stuff happen. Hopefully we'll see some other like crazy celebrations on Sunday from our players, but who knows at this point what's going to happen. So it's going to be a good one. Reading have been on a really good run. Obviously Leicester coming off of the Birmingham result, so they're on a bit of a high there. So it'll be interesting to see how it goes. Have fun at the game, Sam. I hope you have a great time. I hope we win as well. And thank you to everyone again for tuning in, and to anyone traveling, have a great time of the game. And yeah, so thank you so much, everyone, and have a great rest of your evening. And I'll keep you posted on signings, but we'll see. So thank you so much.